You guys, I'm so excited to have RaRa here as a guest on the podcast this week. She is amazing. Okay, so we're talking about how to introduce her, right? And I feel like this is a thing that a lot of intuitive people, a lot of psychic people go through because we're like navigating this space. And then we're like, well, what do we call you? And it's like, oh, I'm a healer, I'm a psychic, I'm a teacher, I'm an author, I'm a this, right? So it's like, well, this is RaRa, and she's here and she's going to talk to us about some of her healing modalities. And I have so many questions for her. So one of the things we were going to talk about is that she's a multidimensional healer. Um, so first of all, thank you for coming on the podcast, Barbara. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love that we connected on Facebook and it was super quick, right? We've had like little conversations between and everything. And I'm excited to just, integrate and see how we could work together beyond even just this podcast.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited with the opportunity to possibly teach local classes at
Yeah.
your shop. So I can't wait to come see it. Yay. And I feel like, spirit brings the right people together. So like me just posting out there, like I want some more, light workers on my podcast. And it's like, boom, these people come out the woodwork. And something that you shared was that you do multidimensional healing. And so
Yes.
I think the first question is, what is that? What for my audience, right? Like,
So I
what is
might
that?
go into like a little spiel of things, okay? But it's so that people could understand like what really multidimensional healing means to me, but how I even got there. So my background is Filipino, and in my culture, we're called a babaylan. And a babaylan is a Filipino shaman that could connect to spirit realms and basically use nature in the art form of healing, right? But I would say beyond my culture, my modality is Reiki. But to me, it's not even only Reiki. And I don't know if a lot of Reiki practitioners listen to this, but you'll notice if you're a Reiki practitioner that maybe through your evolving of a healer, all your other modalities start to come in and it's way beyond Reiki already, but you are using pieces of the art of Reiki. So as I opened up into becoming a Reiki practitioner, many years back, I'm a Reiki master now. But I've been a Reiki practitioner since 2013. Before that, I was a nurse. And I really got Reiki because of my psychic visions. And I got it because I was getting so overwhelmed with, like seeing things when I didn't want to see them. And I would be driving, and this one was pretty much like my last straw with whatever was going on with my brain. And I was like, I need freaking help. I need to figure this out. Like something's going on, or I'm going crazy. Like, is this what they mean when like you're going kind of psycho? And and a lot of us deal with that, right? So through Reiki and learning it and practicing it, I didn't even honestly care to, but life was leading me to it. And it was almost like I had no choice. I had no choice to use who I truly am because the whole time I was suppressing it. A lot of times we're all suppressing our natural abilities, right? Until
Oh
it's
my
like
goodness, the
slapping
fact that
you in
you're
the
saying
face.
that, I feel like everybody needs to pay attention right now. If you are
Yeah.
interested in this kind of work and this kind of field and you're scared to step forward, if you're suppressing it, stop ignoring it, right? Because like you were
Yeah.
saying, your life was just like, no, you have to go this way.
Yeah, I started getting anxiety. I literally, my whole body, my life was starting to get debilitated by human aspects. And I call it human because it's like anxiety, the sadness, the depression, all of who I knew I wasn't, but for some reason I'm becoming this. And I was like, why? And it's because my whole psychic ability thing, I didn't know, no one in my family was like, yes, you're a psychic. But other psychics that I would go to say, okay, you're powerful, like you're gifted, but what the hell does that mean, right? Where are the mentors that I needed because I didn't know this was a thing? But through Reiki, when it started evolving for me, it started to look different compared to just your typical working with the chakras and things. So my lineage started to come forward to me and connect with me. And I have a very strong practice now compared to before, like, in the earlier days of things. And I started realizing this common pattern of me when I was doing healings. When a lot of people's body will have guards, they literally look like armor, right? So the way the body looks is they're on like a massage table or they could be on a chair. But typically on a massage table, I could feel the guard, and it's almost like, okay, they're coming to a session for me to feel and read what's going on inside of them, the blockages. But sometimes I'm not hearing anything. So I always thought sometimes at the beginning it was me. I was like, oh, okay, my modalities aren't working, things like that. No, that's a false thing. It is the body that you're working with. And when I would go to the feet, I would do this thing that I didn't realize it was a pattern until I caught it. I would say their name or I would call them in their body very intuitively. So if I was working on myself, I'd go to my feet and I'd go, RaRa, like, where are you? Next thing you know, I would see a vision of myself or whoever this person was working and whatever this realm was. And then next thing you know, I'd do it again in a different part of their body and I would see them in a whole different scenery of things. And then the more and more I did that repetitive like process, I realized I was going to minimum 3 different lives that were happening all at the same time in their session to understand why this physical body in this 3D realm right here is closed and locked and does not want to express itself to me, or why it's not sleeping. Like that's the most common thing. Some people, or a lot of the common things, some people will come to me and be like, I just really need help sleeping. I haven't slept in like days, or like if I do sleep, I'm sleeping for like 4 hours when there's like another 5 hours left to go. And I work on their body to kind of see what's going on. And these people, most of the time, are very much workaholics or in like survival mode of things. They're constantly working mentally, yes. But then when I go to their other realms, they are still working. So, them working in all of those many realms, of course, in this one, you're not going to be able to sleep. All of your many parallel lives are still working and haven't shut down because you internally in this one feels like you can't stop and give yourself that break. But yes, it's nighttime outside. You need to sleep because that's what we do. So multidimensional healing, I am going through the body and asking for the many lives to show up because time is an energy. You know what I mean? Like it's not really like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It's more than that. And our bodies are all existing on multiple energy timelines. So I'm able to tune into that and see what's going on to help the body physically in this realm. And it could be very multidimensional in regards to realms as well. So it's like somebody I could go into one life and realize, oh, they're actually fixing something in their past life. So now I'm looking at their past life and then 2 other lives within this lifetime, but in the parallel timing, and how they're all working together. And that's
This is
why this body
happening.
right here is having a specific effect. Very much like quantum healing is what people call it sometimes.
Yeah, so quantum healing, you're right, is healing across the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yes.
I love how you're saying so all of these alternative lifetimes or parallel lifetimes, it's part of
Mm-hmm.
your multidimensional self, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
the way I grasp it is like I'm just aware of myself as Brandeline right now, but I am living all of my other lifetimes exactly.
Yeah. All of your other Brandolines, you could think you're doing this one, but then the other Brandoline is reading a book. And that's why this life right here is craving to sit down and read.
Okay. So you're saying it's other Brandeline, it's not necessarily other lifetimes.
It could be other lifetimes. It could be other lifetimes. That's one thing that could happen. But at the same time, it could be other versions of you from your internal being.
Ooh, can you explain more
It's
about
pretty
that?
complex.
It is complex.
So, yeah, I mean, life is complex, right? Just like our emotions. So, like, for example, like you're saying, so if Brandeline is right here, right now, and she's just like, I just can't seem to get work done. And it's like, why? Because in reality, all I want to do is sit down and read a book. And I've been craving to read this book, but I'm not allowing myself to. And I'm like, okay. And the next, we just have a session to just remove blockages, maybe to shift you in alignment. I go and look inside why you're not in alignment, right? Try to see what's going on. So a lot of times I'll go and check the 3 lives or whatever life wants to surface. Next thing you know, I see you in the other life reading and studying this book. And it's probably because you need to something in this book if you read it in this lifetime. It doesn't have to be the same book. It could be lifetime or other Brandoline happening at the same time in whatever world she's living in. She's researching and studying this book because right now it's a time for her to gain knowledge. It could be that metaphor, right? And then in this lifetime, it's like maybe you're craving for something new, maybe some type of new research or study to like integrate here. And that's why you do want to read the book. But at the same time, you've scheduled all these things to work. So you're like, I'm going to complete this job. I'm going to read later. But then in the other life, it's like, I always call it the other life, but whatever you want to call it, the other Brandoline happening at the same time, she is basically showing me she needs to be studying right now. And that's why I'm studying in this lifetime to make her crave in this physical body lifetime that it's what she technically needs to go to, because there's something that your other internal bodies need to tell you through reading that book.
Wow, I love that. I love that a lot. So something interesting that I've experienced through psychic mediumship development from developing my abilities, right, is coming into some sort of knowledge that there's no way that you learned it. So it's like the veils between the dimensions, or the veils between the lifetimes, or other versions, maybe, because I never thought about the other versions of Brandoline, like actual Brandoline, not a different lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
seep through. And so you're like, how do I
Yeah.
suddenly know what these plants are good for, because I have never studied it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a part of my background or how my evolving process is for, right? Like everyone has their purpose and things. So it very much is complicated how to say like it happened for me. But I believe I have a belief of how it did. So I had to understand and see the patterns, because as I started to evolve, I started to notice those same common things that I was doing, right? And then connecting with my spirit team, which of course is a whole nother subject of many things, but a lot of intuitive sensitives like us who use people energies beyond our physical being right here will guide us. And
Yeah.
very much at an early age, I was being guided by voices, but how would you know if that voice was yours or what, right? So when I tell people in regards to like learning their intuition, simple thing, like what's intuition or what's me, my mental, what's the illusion? It's like, that's why you have to pay attention to the feeling. Feelings speak. It's almost like the feelings, like your body, your intuition is the real brain to the body, and it's going to tell you. But if the mind is in the way, it's going to be hard to understand what's real, because then physically we have the brain, right? Intuitively and energetically, yes, we have the spirit body, but we don't see it, you know? So it's like people, it's hard for them to believe that. So all you can do is trust the feelings and kind of see the outcomes of that by experimenting with yourself. So when I'm looking at a lifetime, I could tell it's a lifetime. Just like when you go to bed and you wake up, you know it was a dream and you didn't, like, it didn't truly happen, but then it feels whatever it feels. There's a feeling associated with a lifetime. When I'm watching someone's past life and I know that it was a life maybe they're not living now, right? And then when it's them right now, it's almost like there's this emotion that pairs with every single thing, even time, like time and every feeling, just like music does, right? When it's giving you nostalgic feelings, there's an emotion attached to specific things. And then a different part of my body is allowing to guide me through the quest, like I guess what I'm seeing is what I'm trying to say. And when I ask them questions, because everything I see, I don't know either, right? I just have to kind of watch it and then ask my spirit team questions like, what is this? Like, why is she doing this? And it'll be like, because, XYZ, but there's a feeling that comes with it. And when it's a different time of like their life versus right now, they hold two different energies. So I've been able to, I guess, distinguish what those are based off of practicing, right? You got to
Right.
practice everything. But at the same time, you can even practice all these things and not realize what you're practicing. So you got to ask questions. But it's like, who are we asking? But we got to ask our internal self or our spirit team and trust that we're going to receive the answers.
Yeah.
But again, it gets very complex, right? So it's like this conversation is maybe like built for maybe advanced practitioners, advanced practitioners who are doing the work, or people trying to understand how to separate what they're hearing, feeling, so they have a better way of seeing, or if they want to, or if they have a better way of seeing how to clarify their feelings. You got to focus and you got to practice and you got to experiment with
Yeah.
yourself, because no one can really tell you, like, because everyone that's going to tell you and teach you how to do these things are coming from their point of view and how it's working for them. So it's just research, read books, practice, meditation. Meditation to me is like the key to everything.
Yeah.
Because if you can meditate
So
and allow your body to give you the answers of what's going on with you, no one else can tell you.
right. So when I mentor my psychic mediumship students, like you're saying, the thing that I tell them, it's you have to practice, and it's an experiment, it's an investigation. Because like you said,
Yeah,
like I don't teach them my modality, I teach them how to find their modality, right? Because
there's,
but I'm there to
yeah.
answer their freaking questions, because they'll be like, why do I see inside people's houses? And then I'm like, okay, well, let's get into that. Let's find out why. Right. And then do you want to do that? You want to do remote viewing? You're really somehow you're kind of good at it. Then I give them like exercises to keep doing it, keep doing that. Or somebody's like comes to me and they're like, there's dead people standing outside my front door and they're lined all down the block. I don't know what to do. Then I'm like, okay, they want you to do mediumship, right? So if that's something you want to do, then let's work on that.
Yeah.
So, but it is
Allowing their gifts,
practice,
like
practice,
allowing them to
practice.
know what is, yeah, allowing them to understand what their gifts are by them saying those little things and allowing them to explore it and not be scared of it, right? Because you're mentoring them, allowing them to know that it's safe to. It's not wrong, but and you could hold all of these many modalities and give them some little tools that work for you. But at the same time, when we're able to channel them, we could feel what could align with them. And then we provide recommendations, right?
Yes.
But it's not saying that, hey, we think you should do this. No, we have this connection, this feeling to what we're connected to relay the message based off of what's going on with you.
Right. Yes, because it's so vast. I mean, it's so vast. Look at you, multidimensional
Yeah, that's
healer.
why it's like, what are we? Right? So it's like, what are we? What is this? Before I'm like, okay, I'm just a shaman. And I'm like, but what really is a shaman? And it's like, okay, all of these things. And I'm like, okay, so everyone's doing all these shamanic things. And they're like, here's your uniqueness. Here's what we do in our culture. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's like, oh, then here's psychic. And I'm like, okay, but as a shaman, I'm already doing psychic stuff. So am I psychic? And then it's like, there's all these words. And to me, like, that's very human for us to have words and category. Those are all just for the mental. They're for the mental and for other people to try to understand, to relate and connect. But if you could feel and you could just do, it's just, it doesn't need anything. It doesn't need the words.
That is
You
so
just
true.
provide the healing.
You're doing the
Yeah,
do,
it's
right?
attachments and it's, yeah, when you just do the thing, you just do your magic, I guess that's it, just do the magic. So what can you do? Okay, cool. So like what are you gonna do today? It's like, well, it's whatever your body needs. We're gonna connect to your energy to provide whatever you need. And if most of the time I like to go into the multiple realms, the multiple bodies, whatever you want to call it, because it's like today I'm like, okay, I'm gonna multidimensionally heal. No, I just know a multidimensional healer. And the way I'm going to see the answers for whatever, not answers, I guess you would say, the messages, what needs to be relayed is through checking all parts. It's almost like checking off the boxes. Is my house clean? Cool. Is my lights off? Cool. Because there's always a lot more that's going to communicate to me through looking through all these many areas of the body, not just the one. Because I believe knowing how my body operates, it's not in just this one world.
Right. I
There's a
like
lot
that.
of things playing an effect. There's like our emotions, our mentals, our nervous system, all of it. It's all connected.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about you were saying something about how your body feels a certain way, but if your brain gets in the way, it's not going to happen. The separation between the brain and the body.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the blockages, right? I was just talking to someone on the phone earlier and I was telling her you gotta work on releasing the emotional crave, like the desire of all the things that you want. Because it's like the universe just knows, or whatever you believe in. It's like you could tell yourself, like, I really, really want this red car. But then it's like, but if you try to go get a red car, the finances aren't there, your credit score is too low. It's like, and you could work so hard to try to get this red car, then you have it, then it doesn't stay around, right? Because it's like, okay, maybe you pulled it into manifestation right now, but in alignment wise, it wasn't going to work out so well because it wasn't in true alignment with your body. So crave and desire, like, the wants and desires of things are going to block your actual present moment because you're desiring something you don't have right now. So emotions like block block our actual energy from truly flowing because we're working from this void. So everything that we're going to attract from that void is going to be out of alignment. So, and sometimes we're meant to be out of alignment to go through the journey and things like that, right? So when we have emotions that we're working through, it's going to block our intuition because our intuition might be like, okay, I know you really want the car. Like if the heart's talking to the brain, it's like, I know you really want the car, but just keep working hard. And I like, trust us, like trust yourself that you're going to get it because you deserve that red car. We know you do. But right now, it's not logical to have that car. But then you're not listening to the intuition and you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to go get the car. I'm sure I'm going to get approved, things like that. But it's like, but look at the facts. maybe it's not time for you to get approved because you're still working on your credit, and it's like, and you need to get this promotion before you get, the amount of money that you need. So you're not struggling to have this car. So it's like when you're avoiding your intuition and you're using your mind, it's going to create a blockage. So you're not sure what feelings to choose. And if you don't know, or you're not clarified on like the intuition on like what's the right thing, and that holds feeling, and a lot of us avoid feelings because it's too real. Or we don't want to feel the pain or the suffering in those feelings, so we're going to go to the mind. But then the mind, it doesn't really connect to feelings. It gives you feelings based off of the wants and desires, I believe, until you
Okay.
start to retrain it. Feeling to body, feeling to mind, not mind to feeling,
Okay.
because the mind creates illusions.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because but we have 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day. It's just rambling
Mhm.
on about
How
stuff.
many of them are real, right? And the
Right.
mind, like when I separate the chakras and I tell people about it, I'm like, the mind's supposed to think. So when people come into like a session, and obviously it's very much like a meditation because I'm working with their energetic body while they're laying there, going into their state of trance. And they're just like, I don't know if it worked well because I just kept thinking about all the random things. I'm like, well, it's because that's what your mind is doing. That's what it's used to doing. It's not going to just go into meditation and just be clear, peace, and pause. It's like, no, you got to unlayer it, allow your mind to ramble, talk about what it wants to talk about, but try not to try. And they're like, what do you mean try not to try? I was like, try not to think, try not to push it away. Just let it come and then let it pass. And then it'll just move somewhere else. And then you realize you're on to the next thought. Just keep unlayering those thoughts. Just keep watching them. Just be the
Yeah.
observer.
The observer. I like that. When I
Mhm.
meditate, which I need to
Yeah.
meditate more, is I think of a retaining wall, a wall that holds all the dirt back, like those tall walls that hold
Yeah.
dirt back. So I imagine there's a retaining wall and my thoughts are on the other side. And it's like I'm on this peaceful moment and then they start coming over the wall. And I'm like, okay, back to the breath. And then the thoughts are all there. And then they can start coming over. I'm like, okay. Yeah, because it's like it's
Yeah.
natural.
And if you notice when you're observing the thoughts, right? It's like I could see that. It's almost like, okay, here's the wall. When you're still, it's still gonna move, right? Because it's like maybe it still needs to flow. And then what's moving is the stuff that needs to leave. But then when it comes over your wall, and then it's gonna come over, and you're like, what is that? And you're like watching it, and it's at the top of the wall. And you just keep watching it and observing it, you're gonna realize it's gonna give you emotion based off of whatever those thoughts are. But then if you let it go and allow it to just give you the emotion, it's going to pass. And then next, the next one's going to come. And then that has a different emotion attached to it too. And then it's going to pass. And you're going to realize, oh, whatever my brain thinks, it's going to create my body.
I like
So
that.
if it's not real and it's a block, then how do you know what to feel is real? How do you know if that feeling is real? So it's like that's like very much what you need to clear, right? Like all the mental illusion before you could truly understand what the heart's saying, or else you don't even know what you're saying in here is true or an illusion. Like what's fact and what's an illusion? What is my brain telling me that's a story, and then I'm starting to believe it.
I like your separation of the thinking and the feeling. Because it's true, right? When we
Yeah.
develop our abilities, it's very much in between the thoughts that spirit will communicate. But that's why
Hmm.
I say meditation is so important too,
Yeah.
because that starts to help you
Yeah.
see the spaces between the thoughts, right? And that's where spirit sneaks in. And that's when like it's them, but it
Yeah.
comes with more of a feeling, right?
Yeah, there's a feeling attached to it. So you won't truly understand if it is them, if your own mental is in the way.
Right.
But then at the same time, you have to learn how your mental gets in the way. And that's why I express the whole, the wants and desires. When we want something so much, we're attached to this want and desire. It's creating all of these other feelings. And then when it comes to law of attraction, manifestation, that whole subject, it's like what you're focused on, your whole world is going to be that, but you don't realize how it is that. And you start to pull it to you rather than it coming to you naturally because you're just allowing it to. You're constantly wanting this, thinking about this, and you're not going to stop thinking about it until you have it. So then the universe might be like, okay, here it is, your red car on the platter. And then it's like, now you have it, but then now you don't even think about making sure you sustain it. And the next
Okay,
thing it
that
gets taken
that
away from
clicks
you,
for
and you're
me.
like, wait, what? Yeah, you're like, wait, what? Like, why? And then now you're upset, creating all these other emotions, like because you just didn't stop thinking about it. And the universe only wants to give you everything on the platter.
I really
So
love the
it's
way you
very
describe that
complex,
because
right?
you're right. Universe is like as you wish. And then you have the
Yeah,
cards.
it's like
You're
as
like,
you
yeah.
wish, but it's like she just asked for it so many times. Then let's give it to her. She didn't ask for it and ask to keep it forever. So they're
Wow.
like, okay, she could have it for like a month, you know? But it's like, but why did I only have it for a month? Because you're desiring and craving it so much. And you wouldn't even allow your mind to think of anything else, or you're working hard only for this one material thing. There are all these other things in between. And the universe does want to give you the red car. They just want you to keep working hard and keep cleaning up the things. It doesn't need to be perfect for you to have the red car, but you will know when it is time to get the red car. You will know. Hence, know is the feeling, right? Not when you want. When you want, the want and desire is what your mind's telling you, thinking to make you think that you really feel that you want it. It's an illusion. So through the illusions, you can't truly feel what's clear, what's for you in that time, because the wants and desires are pulling you out of the timeline, out of the present.
Okay, so
So when
then
you
what?
want to feel, or if anyone wants to feel lifetimes and all that stuff, it's like start off with the simple things. Like start off with feeling what your body wants right now, and then see if you're matching that. A lot of times our internal body and our external body, they're not matching until we start to practice it.
We start what?
We start to practice,
Okay.
like our internal body and our external body, you know, they're two different stories happening at the same time. We think we're this one person, but then our inner world's totally different. So we got to practice understanding and learning our internal world, how we speak to ourselves in the external world, until that starts to connect
Okay.
and we're
And how would you
matching.
say people could do that?
Mm. Learning how they are and who they are, why they do the things they do, how they think the way they think, right? So truly being in control of yourself rather than the environment
So
creating those
like
triggers for you to become who you
self-awareness,
are.
self-awareness and introspection
Yeah.
and being honest with yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And those will all lead to all the many feelings for you to understand what's what. Right? So like you have the gifts and it's like you don't know what's what yet. Is it my internal voice and I'm just saying that? Or is it my spirit guide that was here the whole time? But you didn't really know that if you just, you know, first incorporate the trust in yourself, because it's self, and then see if whatever you're saying here makes sense to you. Or are you telling yourself that? If you are, why are you telling yourself that? And it might be because you're wanting something again. It goes back to something that you want and you're trying to give yourself. But then over here, the angels or the spirit guides, they're always going to tell you something of your highest benefit. But then if you don't believe it, then it's hard to say, is that you then, or is it them?
Right. Yeah, I know. They're so nice.
Yeah.
No matter if
Yeah.
you're in
And
the,
they're so sweet. And they do come with things. And if mental and you don't know because you can't connect to the feeling, then it's like, then you probably have to clear out the mental so that there's more room to feel.
yeah, I love it. I love it. So do you do this type of thing remotely or is it just here in like Las Vegas?
Oh, I do both. So like when it's remotely, it's basically called distance healing, right, for Reiki. And then in Vegas, I do have an office. It's called Aura Ritual and Practice.
Beautiful. And where is that? The cross streets? Because I know
Yeah.
there's people in Vegas listening.
Yeah, it's on Valley View. It's between Sahara and Spring Mountain. So it's very near Area 15.
Oh, okay. Okay,
That's
sweet.
a very popular place.
Yeah. So where can my audience find you in the online space? Because I have a big audience that's not in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so I have a website and it's called auraritualandpractice.com. And then on Instagram, I go by my personal Instagram page, which is at I am RaRa Rivera. So I am RaRa, RaRa, Rivera, Rivera.
Sweet. So yeah, we'll definitely link up your website and your Instagram so people could come follow you because look, you're so knowledgeable and so passionate about all this. How long
Thanks.
have you been doing
I
this?
am, right? Like, oh, shouldn't we all be? It's like it's really our nature, right? When we're doing things like this, and it's very exciting to be able to teach other people and explain to them like how we operate when really it's so complex. So I'm like, I totally understand if like some of the things didn't make sense to people, but if they're aligned to like your podcast and they're going through their awakening or they're already in the middle of it and want to know more, it's like these are the potentials of where your body can go. And it's like the head's just always in the way. But I've been healing since 2013,
That's awesome. How
healing
amazing
others
is that,
since
right?
2013.
Oh, it just excites me because I've been
Mhm.
teaching since 2011 slash 12. Once I had my
Mhm.
awakening and
Yeah,
I just was like, oh my gosh, everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know that there's so much more to life than what
right?
we've been taught. And
Yeah.
so I love that you're doing all of
I was
this.
always like, I don't want people to think that they're crazy. We're not crazy, you know?
I know that's how people find me all the time.
We're
They're
not
like,
crazy.
they say, I've never told anybody this, but I'm like, yes. I'm like, tell me.
It's a secret.
Or they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, or they're like, I'm gonna tell you something, but you might not believe me or think I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, bring it on, tell me. That's my favorite. Because it's like we are awakening. This is an illusion that we're in. And especially if we're living many Brandoline lives, there's more than me out there.
Right?
I
Yep,
do
it's
have
like
one
get to
more.
know this one right here. And then you could start looking into the other ones and seeing how they are.
Yeah.
Because
So
you're going to realize that there's so much potential magic in being able to do whatever you want.
yeah. So I do have one more question or topic to bring up because you talked about the dream. So
Yeah.
I dream of myself in all these other worlds and all and I'll think that it's me, like I know it's me in the dream, but I'm like a Russian man or I'm a little boy in captivity, or I have these like futuristic dreams where we could fly and all this stuff. And I truly believe that I'm like visiting all these other lifetimes.
Yeah.
Because you can't make up some of these
Yeah.
worlds that I go to, like these fish, like these weird fish, and it's all water and
I mean, I believe that anything our mind can see, there's a reality of it somewhere. It might not just be where a human physical body is living. But obviously, at the same time, that gets complex too, because the mind is meant to create whatever it can create with all of the many things that we're able to pull in from our senses in this one, right? So it's like we could have heard a fish today and then ate a fish 2 days ago and then watched a Nemo movie. The next, it's pulling all of these little pieces and creating it into whatever it wants. But why is it doing that, right? And it's like, who knows? There's so much study about like why the brain does what it does. But I truly believe some like part of it is parts of the brain doing brain things. And then at the same time, the body leaving and connecting to all the other worlds and maybe creating its own. Maybe all the brain does is create all the many realities that we can potentially tap into.
yeah, it goes pretty deep, right?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it,
But I don't doubt that, you know, maybe there's some unknown fish that we haven't seen, or maybe it's a fish that's real in another realm, but you're seeing it in your dream because
yeah,
maybe you went there today, last night, you know?
that's what I'm saying.
And
That's
a
what
lot of
I'm
people do
sticking
that via
to.
astral projection.
That's what I'm sticking to
Yeah, people
because
do astral projection, and it's like they could leave in this world, go to another, and they have a lot more control over it compared to maybe some people that don't hold the modality of astral projection.
yeah,
Which is
well,
being
yeah,
human, and all of the natures of being human is so beautiful yet complex. It's hard for me to even comprehend.
right, right, yeah. I feel like
So it's hard to even say what's real or not.
this is so true. That's what's so neat about
Hmm.
this industry is like we're investigators. We're investigating,
Yeah.
right? And then once we know it to be true in the belly, right? Then it stacks on. That's why I love psychic development because I always say, yeah, you can read a
Yeah.
book, but it's not like it's really experiencing it, right? Because like you were saying, it
Hmm.
doesn't fit in a box. It's not like this is you go through this program and you're going to come out like this. It's so crazy and fast, but
Yeah.
it's like algebra. Once you come to a
Yeah.
true knowing that you have this knowledge, right? Then the spirit stacks onto it. And you just come into this more awareness, more awareness, more awareness, where you're like,
Yeah.
wow,
And you can't get there without different levels of trust in yourself. Because
yeah,
why would you just have this awareness and not be able to utilize it with your body's knowing, you
yeah,
know? And it's like you start to believe in angel numbers, you have this trust now every time you see these numbers. And then guess what? You have the opportunity now with this trust to have more knowledge. It's again, it just starts to layer like how you're talking about.
yeah,
So
yeah.
through all those layers, it's like you gain a sense of trust if you want, because it's still a choice. You know, it's like you could believe in 11 today, tomorrow you don't believe in it, then it's like, okay, then you don't believe in it.
That's
But
true.
then if you wanted to go further with it, it starts to evolve if you want it to.
Right. And that could be like the subconscious mind too, right? Bringing it forward for you,
Yeah,
right? If you believe
I definitely
something,
feel that if it's meant for you, it will, no matter how much you suppress it, like how I was talking about earlier. Like, I didn't really want to be a psychic, but then it's like all of my many bodies and things, and it just started to evolve whether I was on board or not. And when I was not on board, I had anxiety, I had depression, I was not happy, you know? And happiness is a big thing for everyone, for
yes,
sure.
yes,
So I was just like, what's going on? And I just started to have this urge of, I really need to sit and explore what the hell this is or what's causing that.
yeah. I love that you did that because look at the ripple effect, right?
Right?
Right? Gosh. Well, I can't thank you enough for
Yeah.
coming on the podcast today. I know everybody's going to absolutely love this episode.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me.